Hello everyone and welcome to the Mylio Photos Coffee Break. My name is Angela Andrew and today we're going to be talking about how to tame the holiday photo chaos. So for many of you, you probably were capturing a lot of pictures throughout the holidays, taking pictures of your kids, your grandkids, the lights around town, maybe the lights around your neighborhood, maybe you took some cool travels. There's all sorts of things that you might have done over the holidays that added to your library. So we're going to talk about some of the ways that you can get that under control and incrementally take care of some of that holiday photo chaos. Before we jump into today's session, I do want to let you know that we've got some great events coming up for you next week. Lori Rubin, my counterpart here at Mylio, she is in the chat helping out today. She leads two different programs. The first one are those weekly live sessions you see at the top, where she goes over importing and organizing, setting up new devices, sharing and printing, and search, find, and filter. Those sessions run at 9:30 a.m. Monday through Friday. She also hosts Ready, Set, Go, which is a program tailored specifically for new users or maybe somebody who needs a refresher course on Mylio. Those are at 3 p.m. Pacific every single day, Monday through Friday. I host a live Q&A, so you can jump in and ask questions, kind of an Ask Me Anything. That's on Tuesday and Thursday at 11:30 a.m. Pacific. And on Fridays, we have these coffee breaks. So as I said, today we're going to talk about holiday photo chaos. Next week, we're going to talk about different ways you can share photos with your family, because that's something we get asked about a lot. Having an organized photo library is great, but you want to be able to share those things with the people you love, and that's where you can get a lot of enjoyment out of your library. So we'll talk about that next Friday, so hopefully you'll join us for that session. So for today, let's go ahead and jump in to taming holiday photo chaos. We're going to talk about some tips to get organized and some tools in Mylio Photos that you might be familiar with. They might be new to you. Hopefully you get some tips to go ahead and get your library in the best shape you can for 2025. All right, so let's go ahead and start by talking about what we're going to cover today. Let me go ahead and get my program to advance there. There we go. We're going to talk about why it's important to get organized. We're going to go over some of the things you can do with ratings and flags, how that can help your library. We're going to speed up that tagging with QuickReview mode. We're going to talk a little bit about face tagging, cleaning up burst mode images with photo declutter, and just some practical tips to help you stay organized as you progress through the new year. So first, let's go ahead and talk about why it's important to organize your family holiday photos. First is obviously to preserve and be able to relive those memories. For most people, the holidays are a time when you're getting together with the people who are the most important to you, whether that's your friends, whether that's your relatives, maybe even seeing people that you only get to see once a year. It's a really special time for a lot of people. And we typically tend to take a lot of pictures during that time, and we want to be able to go back and relive those memories and be able to find those memories later on. And that's where getting them organized now can really save us time when we want to search for them later on. It also makes it a lot easier if you want to share and print those photos. So maybe you got a great family photo that you want to print and put up on the wall, or maybe even have for next year's Christmas card. Being able to flag those things and make sure they're easy to get to is really going to make this whole thing worthwhile. So let's go ahead and jump into talking about ratings and flags. So ratings and flags in Mylio Photos are a couple of different indicators you can mark your pictures with to say that these are important to you. Some applications let you put a little heart on things to mark it as a favorite. Mylio has flags, so you can use either a pick flag, that's kind of like a heart on Apple Photos, or you can heart things on Instagram, things like that. You can use a flag in Mylio. You also have the option to add star ratings, which give you a 1 through 5 rating. So you can say 5 stars is one of my absolute best pictures. This is one of those things that is so super important. Or maybe a 1 star is like, yeah, this picture's okay. I don't want to get rid of it, but it's really not that good. So you can decide how you want to use those flags and those stars. There's also color labels, but we're not going to get so much into that today. I think as far as prioritizing your images, star ratings and flags are probably going to be the most important for you to use. So I like to go ahead and kind of start with the highlights. When I bring in a bunch of images, I'll kind of do a quick pass through them, and that's where I usually start with the flags. Flags, like I said, mark my favorites. If something jumps out at me as I want to pay more attention to this later, maybe I want to come back and edit this, maybe I just really like this photo and I want to make sure I can find it easily later, I'm going to add a flag. And that's really easy to do in Mylio. If you're on a picture, let me go ahead and jump over here to the app real quick. And let me grab this picture here of my husband. This was on his birthday last week. I can go ahead and hit the P key for our pick. And that's going to go ahead. Let's see here. Come on. There we go. You can see it popped up with a little flag. If I open up the rating bar here, you can see that the pick flag is lit up. And that's now marked as a pick. If I go ahead and go back here to my grid, you'll also see that it has that little pick flag sitting there on top of it. So it's really easy to see as you're browsing through your library which ones you've marked as picks. You can also filter by that. So if you go ahead and open up your quick filters by rating, label, and flag, you can quickly find everything you've marked as a pick. So it's just a great indicator to find the specific images. Now you also have those star ratings. So you can say, I want to say that this is, of all the pictures of my husband, I'm going to say that's probably a good 4-star image. And you can use the number keys on your keyboard, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, to go ahead and mark those. Or again, you can go ahead and click these here in the ratings bar on the right. And then later on, when you want to find those 4 and 5-star images, you can go over here into quick filters and find everything that's a 4-star or a 5-star or both. So those are some of the ways that you can use those flags and star ratings. So like I said, pro tip, kind of start with the highlights, go ahead and give an overview of your library, and then work through the rest. Next, let's go ahead and talk about the quick review mode. This is a mode that helps you kind of remove all of the distractions if you really want to focus on flagging and rating your images. And it's great on desktop, but it really is best on mobile, because on mobile, we've got some really cool gestures you can use that really speed up the process. But what it does is it takes you into this view where you're just looking at a picture and the film strip, as you can see here in the screenshot. And you can go ahead and use those keyboard shortcuts on desktop, like I talked about, the pick and the reject. So pick is that P key, reject is X, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for your star ratings. It'll automatically advance to the next photo. So let's go ahead and do that really quick. I'm gonna jump over to Mylio, go back to my grid view. And if I want to go into quick review and I really just want to look at my stuff from December, what I can do is over here in my quick filters, I'm just going to say by date, and we're going to go by year, 2020s. Let's go and say 2024. And by month, I only want to look at December. So right now we're just focusing on those holiday photos. And let's say I want to go into quick review on this set of images. I can go ahead and go up here to the More menu in the upper right and choose Quick Review. And it pops me into that very focused area. And then I can go ahead and move through these images. So I can start with this first one here of my husband. I think that's a pretty good one. You can use the arrow keys if you don't want to add any ratings. And the ones that you really like, you can go ahead and flag. So I like, maybe I like this one a little bit more than that one. So I can go ahead and give that one a pick flag. And then you can move through things. That's a really cute picture of my cat, so I'm gonna go ahead and give it a pick. That one's not as good, and you can go ahead and move through things. And again, on the computer, I'm using keyboard shortcuts. So P for pick, that's gonna give you the pick flag. X is gonna be a reject flag. It doesn't delete it, but it does have the ability to hide it in your library. So if you go up, let me go ahead and exit out of this here really quick. And up here in your More menu again, you have the option to hide rejected photos. So right now I have show rejected photos is on. So anything that I mark with a reject flag is showing. If I were to reject something and I don't want to see it, I could turn this off and Mylio will automatically hide all of those. So you're only looking at ones that are unrejected. So that's a really nice thing too. Let's go ahead and jump back in here into quick review. And again, if you want to add those flags, you can do the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You also can just click these icons here along the bottom of the screen. So quick review is a really nice and easy way to go through your images and quickly mark the ones that are the best. I mentioned you can do this on your phones and your tablets as well, and there are really cool gestures. So you can swipe right to pick something, swipe left to reject it, and if you use your finger to go up and down on the screen, it'll pop up with that star menu and you can choose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And after you set a rating, it'll automatically advance to that next picture. If you need to go back, you can always just click back here in the film strip and go back and change it. So if you accidentally mark something that you didn't want to mark, you can always go back and change it. These are just internal ratings for your own use to say which images are most important to you. All right, let's jump back over here to the presentation. and talk about cleaning up near duplicate images. These are images typically that are captured in burst mode and are really similar to each other. So we're not talking about exact duplicates where maybe you tried to back things up and you ended up with the same picture 15 times. These are images that were captured within quick succession, and you maybe only want to keep a few of them. So again, if you're taking pictures of your family over the holidays, you probably have some instances of this. So let me jump over to my Mylio, and I'm going to exit here out of that. Again, here I'm just looking at my December 2024 images, and you can see that I have some images here that are all very similar. I've got the ones here of my husband on his birthday. I have some ones of family here for our holiday brunch. And I want to clean those up because some of them are really good and some of them aren't as good as the others. So it really is up to you whether you want to always keep everything, but there are times when you have a burst of images that you really only need to keep those 1, 2, 3 that have really great expressions, really great things happening in them. The rest of them can be cleaned up. So if you're looking to save some space, make your library a little bit more simple, this is a great tool. So what we're going to do is go over to our tools here on the left, and we're going to choose Photo Declutter. And what this does is limit your library to show you things that are in those burst modes. So what we're looking at here is things that have the same aspect ratio, meaning they're either all horizontal or all vertical. They're taken with the same camera, and that even goes down to the serial number. And they're taken within a specific time frame. So if you go over here all the way to the right, it says 2 seconds. You can change this. So you can say, maybe I want to increase this up to a 5-second range. And that's going to change these groupings. And anything that was taken within a 5-second burst is then going to be automatically grouped together. And you can see that I have some similar groupings here. So let's take this one of my husband. I'm going to go ahead and double click on that. And you can see that there's 2 images. And they're very similar. And I can choose which one I like better. His eyes are a little bit more squinty there. This one, his eyes are a little bit more open. I like that one. So maybe I'm going to mark that one to get rid of. And then I go into this picture here with my aunties and my grandma. And I can go ahead and again, I'm using the arrow keys on my keyboard to just go through these. And I'm looking at everybody's expressions. Everybody has a good expression in this one. This one's pretty good. My grandma has an awkward expression in this image, so maybe I'm going to mark that one to delete. And we're going to go back here. That's another awkward expression. And then, again, that's another kind of awkward one here. So let's go ahead and click on that one. You can see my aunt isn't looking at the camera there. I'm going to go ahead and mark those. And that leaves me with 2 images that are really good. They're all 4 of us. I like the image. We all have good expressions on our face. These 3 are not so good, and if I shared them out there and put them out on social media or something, they'd probably be a little bit annoyed with me. So you can go through your images that way. You can see here's another burst of that same grouping of people. I can go ahead and go through those. You can see my aunt here has her eyes closed. And in this one, everybody looks pretty good there. My aunt has an awkward expression there. I can get rid of that one. And she's got her eyes closed there. So again, that helps you clean things up and really focus in on the best images in your library. Now, if I go ahead and click the back arrow here, you can see that I've marked some images here to delete. And down here at the bottom of the frame, you can either delete them or you can move them outside of your Mylio Photos library. There's also one kind of hidden option here that I want to show you guys, and that is the option to select anything that you've marked, so anything that has a checkbox here. So I'm going to go down here to the Actions menu, and where it says Select, you can say Checked. And from there, you can go ahead and hit that X key on your keyboard, or actually I think you have to go up here to Organize, and it's one of these here. Forget exactly where it is. But you can then mark them as rejects and then be able to deal with them later. So that's a really nice kind of shortcut if you're not wanting to go ahead and commit to deleting them right now. With these images, I'm really happy with the ones that I'm keeping. You know, I might actually keep that one of my husband. I like that, both of those pictures of him, but these other ones where people have awkward looks on their faces, I'm gonna get rid of those. We can say delete marked. It's gonna tell you how much space you're gonna free up, and you can go ahead and delete those files. And this is a permanent delete. It deletes it from the device you're working on and every other connected device in your Mylio account. So that is one thing to pay attention to. So you are making changes in your file system. All right, let's jump back over here to the presentation and talk about face tagging. So again, you probably took a lot of pictures of people around the holidays, and that's where batch face tagging can come in really handy. Now you can certainly go through and tag individual images, picture by picture, face by face. Nothing wrong with that. But if you're like me, you like to do things a little bit more quickly, and that's where batch face tagging comes in. So let's take a look at that really quick. I'm going to go back over here to Mylio, and I'm going to go into my tools and choose batch face tagging. And that's going to go ahead, and I think I already tagged everybody there that's in that selection that I had open. I'm going to go ahead and close out of that. I'm going to clear my filters. And let's try that again. Batch face tagging, that's going to come up with a lot more options. So then I can go through and start accepting these groups of people. So if I take a look here at pictures that were probably my aunt, one of the things I did over the holidays, I didn't take a lot of pictures, but I did scan in an old album. So I have a lot of new pictures to go through and assign. And I can go through and start marking who these are. Yes, are these my Grandma Rose? I'm not sure about this one. So I'm gonna go ahead and click an X on that, but the rest of these, I am very certain that those are all hers. So I can go ahead and say approve, and bam, all of those pictures just got a face tag. So some of these I do need to research more. I need to talk to other family members and see who they are. It's not terribly clear to me who is who in all of these, but batch face tagging is a really great way to speed up the process. Now, one thing you can do here is if you do a lot of group pictures during the holidays, let me go ahead and open this one up. And let's say there were people in the background that you don't know. Maybe you were out in an event, a festival or something like that. If you go ahead and open up the info panel here on the right, and I'm going to close the ratings bar just to make this a little easier. If we scroll down to the people section, there's a button here called ignore untagged faces. So if I turn this on, you can see everybody's tagged. But if there were people that Mylio was wanting me to tag in the background that were not part of my group, you can simply tag the people you know and then say ignore untagged faces. And that's going to go ahead and remove those other faces from being suggested to name. And you can go ahead and move on in your library. So that's just a really quick tip there. All right. So those are my handful of tips for taming that holiday chaos. And here are a few things that can make things easier as you go throughout the year. As you're organizing, make sure to take things in manageable batches. So you can work folder by folder or work on a specific time frame. Use those quick filters to limit what you're seeing and focus on organizing just a portion. It makes the process a lot more tangible. It makes it a lot more accessible. And it makes it, I can wrap my head around organizing a folder of 50 to 200 pictures. It's really hard to wrap my head around organizing 200,000 pictures. So keep that in mind as you work through your organizing process. I also recommend setting a specific time to organize. Maybe if you're going through and making goals or even resolutions for the new year, set a regular time to organize. Put it in your calendar that the fourth Saturday of every month, you're going to sit down for an hour and you're going to go through your pictures and do some cleanup. It's going to make your life a lot easier if you set aside regular time to go through those tasks rather than letting it build up and become something that feels insurmountable. So make it part of your regular workflow. Bringing everything into Mylio Photos is a wonderful thing, but you also want to kind of stay on top of what's there and know what's happening and be able to add that additional information and context, such as face tags, or maybe you want to change the dates on your scanned photos, things like that. Make that part of your regular workflow, and you're going to be a lot happier as you go through and use your library. So let's go ahead and take some questions. It looks like we have some stuff that has popped up here in the chat. Let me go ahead and take a look at what we've got. Thank you, Lori, for sharing some helpful links. Lisa said, is it possible to exclude a folder from face tagging? Yeah, absolutely. So Lisa, when you're in Mylio, let's go to the all photos view here, and I'm going to just close up my quick filters here real quick. What you can do, let me go ahead and clear the filters I had there. If you want to exclude a folder, what you would do is go ahead and open up the by folder here, find the folder you want to exclude. So let's say I want to exclude my Facebook. I'm going to pin that. Then up here at the top, right click on that and choose exclude. Once you've done that, that's filtered your library. You can then go in and launch batch face tagging, and that's going to exclude that folder from anything that you're tagging in this view. All right, close out of that. Perfect. Okay, so Barbara says if I have a tagged person by two different names, one with a middle name, one without. How do I correct this and identify all the pictures by only one name? So Barbara, excuse me, let me grab a sip of water here. I wish I had a really easy answer for you. This is one of those things where if you end up with somebody with two different names, let's say maybe you even put them in there, you tag them once with their maiden name, maybe you tag them once with their married name, but it's the same person and you want to merge this together. What I would recommend doing is, let's just go here to, I'm going to clear out those filters, go into my people view and take a look. So if you have two people, these are different people actually, but if let's say, hypothetically, these were the same person and I wanted to merge them together, what I'm going to do is take a look at which one has fewer images already tagged. And I'm going to go in there, especially if it's a really low number. What you can do is go into that person and you can retag these images. So you can go ahead and grab those and retag them to the correct name. That's going to be the best choice. We also have instructions in the manual on how to do larger batches of this. It's not easy and it's not the most convenient thing. Hopefully down the road, we'll have a much simpler way to just merge somebody. You can click a button and merge it, would be really nice. We don't have that today. So it does take going back and retagging those images that were incorrectly tagged. All right, Michael says, I have thousands of declutter burst sets. Are there any techniques for speeding up the process? Yeah, absolutely. So there are some AI tools you can use here in the declutter. So let me go ahead and open up declutter real quick. And there we go. We do have auto mark down here. So one thing, if you have thousands to go through, I would start by limiting it by a specific folder or by a specific grouping. You have all of your quick filters here. So I can say, by folder, I only want to look at maybe my 2020 or maybe my 2024. Let's go ahead and go down here into my 2020s, 24. So let's say I only want to bother with looking at 2024 right now. So that already limits it down to a much lower amount of sets. The next thing you can do is use auto mark. And this makes use of the AI smart tags that are applied to your images. So you can go ahead and automatically mark things that are blurry, automatically mark things that are underexposed or overexposed. If you've taken the time to mark things as rejects or really low rated images, you can choose to have Mylio mark those as well. So that's going to help you go in and automatically select a lot of that stuff to go ahead and get rid of. So you can go ahead and say run auto mark, and that's going to go ahead and select images that meet that criteria. Now, hopefully I don't have too many, but you can see it's found a few. Like these ones are definitely overexposed or underexposed rather. They're really dark. So Mylio marked this. This one is really overexposed. Now it's really up to you. You kind of do need to still go through and look at them yourself. Put your own eyes on them and make sure it's something that you want to get rid of. In the instance of these photos here, these are what we call exposure brackets. I actually take pictures at different exposure levels, and I do that on purpose. So sometimes I'm going to end up with a range of under and overexposed images. So for me, I might go unmark all, go back in here to undermark, and I might uncheck those because that's not a criteria that I want to clean things up by. So those are some of the tools you can go to use to speed up that process. I would say this is a little bit more intensive of a process than using dedupe. Dedupe is finding exact duplicates. Getting rid of something that's an exact duplicate is a little bit easier to kind of wrap your head around. You don't need to have two of the exact same picture. But when you're comparing images, you do want to make sure that you're keeping what you feel is the best one. And what I think is the best one might not be the same one that you think is the best one. So definitely take a little bit of extra time as you go through those bursts. I would say it's probably a time to be a little less ruthless. You can be a little bit more ruthless when you're cleaning up exact duplicates. With similar images, I think it's important to be a little bit more thoughtful in the process. All right, Donald says batch tagging only brings up 4 or 5 photos at a time. Demos showed many more on the screen at a time. So Donald, that's really going to depend on what's in your library and what you've already tagged. If you haven't tagged many people in your library yet, Mylio might not know who's who yet. So you do have to have a fair bit of media already in your system for it to have big batches. You also have to have big batches of people who haven't been tagged yet. So the reason I have a ton in mine is because I scanned in a whole album over the holiday break of family members and relatives and stuff. And so I have a ton of untagged faces, which is why it's bringing up so many. The other reason in each batch that I'm getting a lot is because a lot of those people have been tagged already from other albums that I've scanned. So it's really going to depend on what's already in your library, what you've already tagged, and how many images actually need tagging. So that can vary a lot depending on the person. All right, are there any other questions today? Let's go ahead and take a look here. You're also welcome to unmute and ask your questions if you prefer to do that. All right, well, going once, going twice. All right, well, I want to thank you guys all for joining me today. Just a reminder, we've got lots of great stuff coming up for you next week. Make sure you check out those weekly live sessions that Lori is running, Ready, Set, Go. Join us for live Q&A. So if you have a question that you didn't think to ask today, or maybe you just want to postpone, think about it a little bit more, come back on Tuesday or Thursday. Those are awesome Ask Me Anything sessions. And the topics really can be anything related to photography, family history, organization, photo editing, photo gear, anything within that realm is really fair game. So they're a lot of fun, and I really hope you'll join us for those. Also, we'll talk about sharing photos with family members next Friday during coffee break, which I'm sure will be a ton of fun. With that, I want to wish you guys a wonderful Friday. We're going to have a great weekend. Hope you take some pictures, make some memories this weekend. And again, Happy New Year, everybody. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.